The distress beacon had been pulsing through the void for 17 days before the Xinthian patrol ship detected it. Captain Voresh studied the readings with his triple-jointed fingers drumming against the console. The signal originated from a debris field in the Kaltor expanse, a region of space most civilized species avoided. Pirates, asteroid storms, and the occasional territorial dispute made it a graveyard for the foolish and unlucky. "Should we investigate, Captain?" his second officer asked, mandibles clicking nervously. Voresh considered ignoring it. The Galactic Union had protocols about distress calls, but the Kaltor expanse existed in a gray zone of enforcement. Still, his species prided themselves on honor, even when inconvenient. He nodded slowly. The patrol ship approached the coordinates with caution. What they found made Voresh's chitin prickle with unease. Wreckage floated in a spherical pattern, the telltale sign of a reactor breach. The ship had been small, nothing like the massive colony vessels or warships that dominated space lanes. This looked like an explorer craft, maybe a private vessel. Among the twisted metal and frozen atmosphere, their sensors detected a single life pod. It tumbled slowly, emergency power still active. Voresh ordered it retrieved, curiosity overriding his usual caution. The pod was old, built with rivets and welded seams rather than the molecular bonding most species used. Inside, through the frosted viewport, they could see a figure in a pressure suit. The biometric scanner returned confusing results. The being registered as warm-blooded, bilateral symmetry, single heart, but the genetic markers matched nothing in the galactic database. They brought the pod aboard and carefully opened it in the medical bay. The creature inside was unconscious, breathing shallowly. It stood roughly 2 meters tall when they laid it on the examination table. Its skin was a light brown, covered partially by a tattered blue uniform. Hair grew from its head, a feature some species found disturbing. The face had 2 eyes, positioned forward like a predator, a nose and a mouth. Dr. Milishan, their medical officer, ran every scan available. The being was severely dehydrated and malnourished, but its biology was remarkably resilient. What fascinated Milishan most was the creature's muscle density and bone structure. This being came from a high-gravity world, significantly higher than the galactic standard. "What species is this?" Voresh asked, studying the unconscious alien. "Unknown, Captain," Milishan replied, her vocal sac inflating with uncertainty. "But I can tell you this creature evolved as a pursuit predator. Look at these leg muscles, the forward-facing eyes, the sweat glands for thermal regulation. This being was designed to chase down prey until it collapsed from exhaustion." Voresh felt a chill despite his exoskeleton. The galaxy had known predator species before, but most had evolved beyond their hunting instincts. "This creature looked primitive, dangerous. Can you wake it?" he asked. Milishan administered a stimulant, adjusted for the alien's unique biochemistry. The creature's eyes opened slowly. They were brown, almost gold in the medical bay's lighting, and they moved with sharp intelligence, assessing everything instantly. The alien tried to sit up, grimaced in pain, then spoke in a language that sounded harsh and aggressive to Voresh's translator. The device struggled for a moment, sampling phonemes and syntax before providing a translation. "Where am I?" the creature asked, its voice deeper than Voresh expected. "Where's my ship? Where's my crew?" Voresh stepped forward carefully, keeping his movement slow and non-threatening. "I am Captain Voresh of the Xinthian Border Patrol. We found you in a life pod. Your ship was destroyed. We detected no other survivors." The alien's face contorted in an expression Voresh couldn't read. Its eyes glistened with moisture, and it turned away briefly. When it looked back, something hard had settled in those predator eyes. "My crew," it said slowly. "All of them?" "I am sorry," Voresh replied, meaning it. Loss was universal even among species that had never met. The alien nodded, a gesture that meant nothing to Voresh but seemed to convey understanding. It studied its surroundings with those unsettling forward-facing eyes. "I am Marcus Chen," the creature said. "Human, from Earth. We were a research vessel. We were mapping jump points in this sector when pirates ambushed us. They wanted our ship, our data. When we refused, they opened fire. Pirates!" Voresh clicked in disgust. "The Kaltor expanse is infested with them. The Galactic Union has limited authority here. I am sorry for your loss, Marcus Chen of Earth. I have never heard of your species or your world. Are you far from home?" Marcus laughed, but it was a sound without joy. "You could say that. Earth is about 47,000 light-years from here. We've been exploring, making first contact with other species, trying to find our place in the galaxy. 47,000 light-years. Voresh's translator had to recalculate the number twice. That was beyond the outer rim, in a region the Galactic Union considered unexplored space. This human had traveled farther than any expedition Voresh knew of. You traveled very far only to be attacked by pirates, Voresh said carefully. This is not the welcome your species deserved. Marcus swung his legs off the examination table, moving despite Milishan's protests. The human stood, towering over the medical officer, and Voresh noticed how the muscles moved under the skin, efficient and powerful. This being was injured, starved, exhausted, but it still moved with a predator's grace. Captain Voresh, Marcus said, and his voice carried something that made Voresh's instincts scream danger. I need to send a message home. My crew had families. My government needs to know what happened here.
Can you help me do that?
Of course, Voresh agreed, though something in the human's tone made him uneasy. We can transmit your message when we return to the nearest Union outpost. Marcus smiled, and Voresh saw teeth. Flat teeth in front for grinding, but sharp canines for tearing. A species that could eat both plants and meat. An adaptable species. Thank you, Captain, Marcus said. Tell me, these pirates who killed my crew, do they operate openly? Does anyone stop them? Voresh clicked his mandibles uncomfortably. The Kalter expanse is difficult to patrol. Many species raid here. The Union does what it can, but resources are limited. Justice is not always possible. Justice, Marcus repeated, and his predator eyes grew distant. We have a saying on Earth, Captain. You can run from justice, but you can't hide from it forever. As Voresh led the human to quarters where it could rest, he wondered what he had rescued from the void. Something told him the galaxy was about to learn what happened when you killed a human's pack. Something told him the pirates of the Kaltor expanse had made a terrible mistake. Marcus Chen spent 3 days aboard the Xinthian patrol ship, recovering his strength and learning about the galaxy his crew had died exploring. Captain Voresh provided him with access to the ship's database, and Marcus absorbed information with an intensity that made the crew uncomfortable. He asked questions constantly, always polite, always precise. He wanted to know about the Galactic Union, its laws, its military capabilities, and especially about the Kaltor expanse. Voresh noticed the human never asked about Earth's distance from Union space or about going home. Instead, Marcus questioned him about pirate operations, their bases, their typical ship configurations, and their known leaders. The captain answered honestly, though each response made him more concerned about what the human planned. On the 4th day, they reached Outpost Selenium, a Union trading station on the edge of the expanse. The outpost was a sprawling collection of docking rings and habitat modules, home to dozens of species conducting trade in the lawless sectors nearby. Voresh had arranged for Marcus to use the long-range communication array to contact Earth. Marcus stood in the communications center, surrounded by technology that looked primitive compared to his lost ship's equipment, but functional enough. The transmission would take weeks to reach Earth, compressed through multiple relay stations and jump points. He recorded his message, speaking calmly into the camera, explaining what happened to the research vessel Endeavor and its crew of 37 scientists and explorers. Voresh watched through the observation window as Marcus finished his message. The human's expression never changed, but there was something in his posture, a coiled tension, that made Voresh think of a spring compressed and waiting. When Marcus emerged from the communication center, he found Voresh waiting. Thank you, Captain, Marcus said. For everything. You saved my life. It is my duty, Voresh replied. The Union will arrange transport back toward your home space. It will take time, but we can get you there. Marcus was quiet for a moment, looking out at the station's main concourse where dozens of species moved about their business. Then he spoke, and his words chilled Voresh despite the warm station air. I'm not going home yet, Captain. Not until I've done something first. Marcus, Voresh said carefully. Revenge is not... I'm not talking about revenge, Marcus interrupted, his predator eyes meeting Voresh's compound ones. I'm talking about justice. You said the Union can't patrol the expanse effectively. You said pirates operate freely here. My crew died because there are no consequences for killing explorers in this region. That needs to change. You are one being, Voresh pointed out, trying to be gentle. What can you do against organized pirate fleets? Marcus smiled that unsettling smile, showing his mixed teeth. Captain, let me tell you something about humans. We're not the strongest species in the galaxy. We're not the smartest or the fastest or the longest lived, but we have one trait that served us well throughout our history. We're stubborn. When you push us, we push back harder. When you take from us, we make you pay interest. And when you kill our people, we make sure it never happens again. Varesh started to respond, but Marcus continued, his voice taking on a lecturing tone that suggested he'd given similar speeches before. Earth's history is full of examples, small nations that refused to surrender to empires, outnumbered forces that won through sheer determination, explorers who died in unknown lands only to have armies follow their path. We remember our dead, Captain. We honor them by making their deaths mean something. That is admirable, Varesh said. But admirable does not make you bulletproof. The pirates here are vicious. They have ships, weapons, numbers. Then I'll need to be smarter than them, Marcus replied. I'll need help. I'll need information. And I'll need time. But I'm not leaving until I've made this space safer than I found it. Over the following weeks, Varesh watched with growing amazement as Marcus worked. The human moved through the station like a ghost, talking to traders, refugees, and anyone who'd suffered at pirate hands. He collected stories, names, locations. He learned who the major pirate lords were, where they operated, what they wanted. Marcus also studied. He spent hours in the station's technical libraries, learning about ship systems, weapons, tactics. He absorbed galactic combat doctrine and then critiqued it. Pointing out weaknesses a human eye saw that centuries of Union military thinking had missed. Varesh tried to dissuade him several times, but Marcus was immovable. The human had a mission now, and nothing would deter him from it. What surprised Varesh most was how other species began to rally around Marcus. Survivors of pirate attacks, merchants tired of paying protection money, even some Union security personnel who'd lost colleagues in the expanse. They saw something in the human, a determination that transcended species. A young Tellarian pilot named Kess approached Marcus in a station bar one evening. I heard you're planning something against the pirates, she said, her blue skin flushed with excitement. My family's convoy was raided last year. They killed my father. I want to help. Marcus studied her carefully. This isn't going to be easy. It might get us all killed. My father is already dead, Kess replied. I'd rather die fighting than live afraid. Others followed. A Vorlish engineer whose daughter had been taken by slavers, a Gathrian weapons specialist whose brother died protecting a merchant vessel, a Zynthian navigator who'd lost his entire crew to a pirate ambush. They came one by one, and Marcus accepted them all, building something unprecedented in this region of space. A resistance. Varesh confronted Marcus one night in the human's cramped quarters. You are creating an army, the captain said, not bothering to hide his concern. The Union has rules about private militaries. The Union has rules about a lot of things, Marcus replied, not looking up from the star charts he was studying. But those rules don't seem to apply in the Kalter expanse, do they? The pirates ignore them. The victims suffer under them. Maybe it's time someone worked outside those rules to make the rules mean something again. You could be branded a criminal yourself, Varesh warned. Marcus finally looked up, and his expression was harder than Varesh had ever seen. Captain, 37 people died under my watch. 37 scientists, explorers, friends. They came out here believing the galaxy was full of wonders to discover. Instead, they found violence and greed. I can't bring them back, but I can make sure their deaths weren't meaningless. If the Union wants to arrest me for that, let them try. Varesh left the humans' quarters troubled. He reported the situation to his superiors, expecting orders to shut down Marcus's operation. Instead, he received a message that surprised him. Monitor the situation. Do not interfere unless Union citizens are directly threatened. The Council is curious to see what this human accomplishes. Curious. The Galactic Union, with all its ships and resources, was curious to see what one human and a handful of desperate volunteers could do against the pirates that had plagued this region for generations. Varesh feared they were about to find out. Marcus spent another month preparing. He acquired a ship, a battered transport vessel that had seen better decades. He trained his volunteers, teaching them tactics that seemed bizarre to species used to formal fleet engagements. He talked about guerrilla warfare, ambushes, psychological operations, concepts the Union military considered dishonorable. Honor doesn't feed the living or avenge the dead, Marcus told his growing crew. We're not here to fight fair. We're here to win. Finally, Marcus came to Varesh with a request. I need you to do something for me, Captain. I need you to take a message back to your superiors. Tell them that in 6 months the Kaltor expanse will be safe for Union ships. Tell them that the pirates will either be gone or they'll be running scared. Tell them a human made this promise and humans keep their promises. That is impossible, Voresh protested. 6 months? Marcus, there are dozens of pirate fleets. 8 months ago, my crew thought mapping the expanse was impossible, Marcus interrupted. They died trying anyway. I'm going to finish what they started, Captain. One way or another. As Voresh watched Marcus's ship undock from the station and accelerate toward the expanse, he felt something he hadn't experienced in his long career. Hope mixed with terror. The human was either brilliant or insane, possibly both. What Voresh didn't know was that Marcus had sent another message with his communication home, a personal request to Earth's government. That message would take months to arrive, but when it did, it would change everything. The galaxy was about to learn an important lesson about humanity. You could kill a human, you could destroy their ship, take their crew, think you'd won. But humans never forgot and they never forgave. And when humanity decided to respond, they didn't send diplomats or negotiators. They sent something far more terrifying. Marcus Chen's first strike against the pirates came 3 weeks after leaving Outpost Selenium. He'd chosen his target carefully, a small raiding party led by a Brecken captain named Thros who specialized in attacking research vessels. The irony wasn't lost on Marcus. His ship, renamed the Endeavor's Legacy, dropped out of jump space near a known pirate staging area. The crew, now numbering 15 dedicated volunteers from 6 different species, moved with practiced efficiency. Marcus had drilled them relentlessly, teaching them coordination and timing that Union military academies spent years instilling in cadets. Remember, Marcus said over the internal comm, his voice calm despite the tension. We're not here to match them ship for ship. We're here to make them afraid. Fear is a weapon sharper than any plasma cannon. The pirates detected them immediately. Thros's flagship, a converted merchant hauler bristling with stolen military weapons, turned to engage. 2 escort fighters broke formation to intercept Marcus's ship. What happened next became legend in the Kaltor expanse. Marcus didn't run, and he didn't charge forward in a suicidal attack. Instead, he did something the pirates hadn't expected. He broadcast on all frequencies, his message reaching every ship in the system and relaying outward to anyone listening. This is Marcus Chen, last survivor of the research vessel Endeavor. To the pirates of this region, I bring you a message. You killed 37 explorers, scientists, and friends. You thought there would be no consequences. You were wrong. This is your only warning. Leave the Kaltor expanse. Disarm your ships. Turn yourselves in to Union authorities. If you don't, I will hunt each of you down. There is nowhere in this galaxy far enough to escape human justice. The pirates laughed over the open channel. One human in a rust bucket ship threatening established pirate fleets? It was absurd. Thros himself responded, his translator conveying his amusement. Little human, you amuse me. I will add your ship to my collection and your skull to my... Thros never finished his sentence. Marcus's ship launched a spread of missiles, but these weren't standard munitions. They were modified mining charges, programmed with guidance systems Kess had jury-rigged from salvage parts. They didn't target the pirate flagship. They targeted the escort fighters. Both fighters exploded simultaneously. The pirates' laughter died. Marcus's crew executed their practiced maneuver. The Legacy spun on its axis, presenting minimal profile while launching electronic countermeasures that jammed pirate targeting systems. Then Marcus did something that terrified the watching pirates more than the destruction of their fighters. He charged directly at Thros's flagship. Every combat doctrine in the Union military warned against close-range engagements between mismatched vessels. The flagship had superior weapons, armor, and size. Marcus should have kept his distance, used hit-and-run tactics, preserved his ship. Instead, he accelerated to ramming speed. Thros panicked. He ordered evasive maneuvers, but converted merchant haulers weren't built for agility. Marcus's ship screamed past the flagship's hull close enough that their shields sparked against each other. As they passed, Marcus deployed a surprise boarding pods, the small armored capsules attached to the flagship's hull with magnetic clamps. Inside each pod, a volunteer waited with weapons and determination. Before Thros could react, the pods breached his ship's outer hull and Marcus's crew poured inside. The fighting was brutal and short. Marcus had trained his people in close-quarters combat, teaching them techniques from Earth's military history. They moved through the ship like smoke, using their knowledge of the layout Kess had stolen from Union salvage records. Within 20 minutes, they'd captured the bridge. Marcus himself led the assault, moving with a speed and violence that shocked the pirates. They'd expected a desperate survivor seeking revenge. What they got was a trained soldier executing a military operation with surgical precision. Thros died fighting, refusing to surrender. Marcus ensured the rest of the crew survived, locked them in escape pods, and launched them toward the nearest Union outpost with a recorded confession of their crimes attached to each pod. Then Marcus did something that would define his campaign. He didn't destroy Thros's flagship. He repaired it, crewed it with volunteers who'd responded to his earlier calls, and added it to his growing fleet. News of the attack spread through the Kaltur expanse like radiation from a reactor breach. One human had challenged an established pirate captain and won, not through superior firepower, but through tactics and sheer audacity. The pirates began to pay attention. Marcus struck again a week later, then twice more the following week. Each time he chose targets carefully, focusing on pirates known for attacking research vessels and exploration ships. Each time he broadcast his message. Each time he won, his reputation grew. Species that had suffered under pirate rule began to whisper about the human who kept his promises. Merchant captains spread stories about the small fleet that appeared from nowhere, destroyed pirate vessels, and vanished before Union patrols could investigate. The Galactic Union watched with growing interest. Captain Voresh filed regular reports documenting Marcus's campaign with meticulous detail. The Union Council debated whether to intervene, but the reports showed Marcus carefully avoided Union casualties and always delivered captured pirates to authorities. Technically, he was doing the Union's job for them. 3 months into his campaign, Marcus had captured or destroyed 17 pirate vessels. His fleet now numbered 8 ships crewed by over 200 volunteers from a dozen species. They called themselves the Legacy Fleet, and they were becoming a force the pirates could no longer ignore. The pirate lords of the Kaltur expanse held a rare council. 8 of the most powerful captains met aboard a neutral station, united by their common enemy. A human had dared to challenge their dominance, and worse, he was winning. "We need to crush this insect," snarled Captain Vix, a Krellian whose species resembled Earth's reptiles. "His success encourages resistance. My crews are questioning orders. Some have even deserted." "He's just one human," another captain argued, though his voice lacked confidence. "How is he doing this?" "Because he fights like a demon," Vix replied. "He doesn't follow Union rules of engagement. He doesn't warn before attacking. He strikes at our weakest points and vanishes before we can respond. He's using our own tactics against us, but better." The council debated for hours before reaching a consensus. They would pool their resources, form a combined fleet, and hunt down Marcus Chen. No more individual attacks. They would bring overwhelming force and crush the Legacy Fleet once and for all. They sent Marcus a message, broadcasting it across the expanse. "Human, you have 3 days to surrender. After that, we will destroy you and everyone who follows you. This is your only warning." Marcus's response was immediate and public. "I don't surrender. I don't retreat. And I don't stop until the job is done. You have 3 days to disarm and surrender. After that, I stop being merciful." The pirates laughed at his bravado. One human threatening them. It was suicide. What they didn't know was that Marcus had been waiting for exactly this response. He needed the pirates unified and predictable. He needed them angry enough to make mistakes. He needed them gathered in one place. Because 4 months ago, when Marcus had sent his message to Earth, he hadn't just reported the Endeavor's destruction. He'd made a request. He'd asked for help, not to save himself, but to ensure the Kaltur expanse would never again be a hunting ground for those who preyed on the innocent. Earth's response was on its way. And when it arrived, the pirates would learn a terrible truth about humanity. You could hurt one human and face one human's wrath, but hurt humanity's children, destroy their dreams, kill their innocent explorers, then you face something far worse than revenge. You faced humanity's full fury, and that fury wore armor, carried weapons, and brought with it legends of war dating back to when humans first learned to sharpen sticks and hunt in packs. The pirates had 3 days. They thought they were preparing for a battle. They had no idea they were preparing for an execution. The pirate fleet assembled in the Vorath system, a collection of rocky planets and asteroid fields that had served as their stronghold for decades. 43 ships of varying sizes and capabilities, representing the combined might of the Kaltor Expanse's most feared raiders. They positioned themselves in a defensive formation around the largest asteroid station, confident in their numbers. Marcus Chen watched their deployment from a distance, his ships hidden in the system's outer reaches behind a gas giant's radiation shadow. His crew studied the pirate formation with growing anxiety. Even with their recent victories, the Legacy fleet was massively outnumbered and outgunned. "They have us by 5-1, Kess noted, her blue skin paler than usual. "Marcus, this is suicide. We should retreat, wait for a better opportunity." Marcus studied the tactical display with those predator eyes that had become famous throughout the region. "We're not here to fight them, Kess. We're here to hold them in place." "Hold them?" The Vorlish engineer, whose name was Tekar, buzzed in confusion. "For what?" Marcus checked his chronometer. "Help should arrive in approximately 6 hours. We just need to keep them interested until then." His crew exchanged worried glances. Marcus had been cryptic about his plans, but they'd learned to trust him. Still, 6 hours seemed like an eternity when facing an armada. "Everyone to positions," Marcus ordered. "We're going to play a game with them. We're going to make them angry, make them chase us, and make sure they stay here until our friends arrive." The Legacy fleet moved into position. Marcus broadcast another message, this time directly to the Pirate Council. "I see you brought everyone. Good. Saves me the trouble of hunting you individually. I'm giving you one last chance. Surrender now and you'll face Union justice. Keep fighting and you'll face something much worse." Captain Vix responded, his voice dripping with contempt. "You're outnumbered, human. Your tiny fleet cannot stand against us. Today your legend ends." "My legend?" Marcus laughed, and the sound sent chills through everyone listening. "I'm not a legend. I'm just the messenger." "You want to see a legend? Wait a few hours. I promise you'll get a demonstration." The pirates advanced, their formation tight and professional. Marcus had forced them to work together, to coordinate their traditionally chaotic approach. Ironically, it made them more dangerous but also more predictable. Marcus ordered his ships to spread out, using the asteroid field's cover to maximum advantage. They darted between rocks, fired quick bursts, and vanished before the pirates could respond effectively. It was harassment, not battle, and it infuriated the pirate commanders. "He's playing with us," Vix snarled. "Split the fleet. Hunt them down in groups." "No," advised Captain Grethick, a more cautious leader. "That's what he wants. We stay together, methodical. We'll wear them down." But Marcus had counted on pirate pride and anger. He targeted specific ships, broadcasting insults about their captains, questioning their courage and competence. It was psychological warfare, something his species had perfected over millennia of conflict. One pirate captain, younger and more hot-headed than the others, broke formation with 3 ships to pursue Marcus's flagship. It was exactly what Marcus wanted. He led them deeper into the asteroid field, where his crew had spent the previous day setting traps. Modified mining charges, hidden on asteroids, detonated as the pirates passed. One ship was destroyed instantly. Another was crippled, its engines damaged beyond repair. The third managed to retreat, but its captain's reputation was ruined. The battle continued in this manner for hours. Marcus's fleet never engaged directly, never let the pirates bring their superior numbers to bear. They struck from shadows, vanished into dust clouds, and always stayed just out of reach. It was exhausting, nerve-wracking work, but it kept the pirates focused on the Legacy fleet. 5 hours into the engagement, the pirates finally cornered Marcus's flagship. 6 ships surrounded him, their weapons charged and ready. Vix personally commanded the assault group. "Nowhere left to run, human," Vix broadcast triumphantly. "Surrender or die." Marcus's response confused everyone. He laughed, genuinely amused. "Captain Vix, you really don't understand, do you? I'm not trapped here with you. You're trapped here with me, or rather with what's about to arrive." "Empty threats," Vix spat. "Fire on my—" His order was interrupted by every sensor in the system screaming warnings simultaneously. Jump signatures, massive ones, appeared at the system's edge. Not 1 or 2 ships, but dozens. Hundreds. The human expeditionary fleet had arrived. What emerged from jump space made the pirate armada look like children's toys. Earth had sent a message to the galaxy, and that message was written in starship armor and weapons that made Union military technology look primitive. At the fleet's head was the dreadnought Retribution, 3 kilometers of human engineering and fury. Around it, like wolves around their alpha, came cruisers, destroyers, carriers, and support ships. Each vessel bore the markings of Earth's military forces, and each bristled with weapons that had been developed during humanity's centuries of warlike history. But it wasn't just the ships that terrified the pirates. It was what the ships carried. Humanity had sent its warriors. Special forces from every nation in service. Marines who'd trained since childhood in arts of war. Pilots who'd logged thousands of combat hours in simulators and real engagements. Soldiers who came from a species that had survived ice ages, plague, world wars, and its own worst tendencies by learning to fight better than anything else in their biosphere. The fleet's commander, Admiral Sarah Okonkwo, broadcast on all frequencies. Her voice was calm, professional, and utterly terrifying in its certainty. This is Admiral Okonkwo of the Human Expeditionary Fleet to all vessels in this system. 4 months ago, pirates attacked and destroyed the research vessel Endeavour, killing 37 humans who came in peace to explore and learn. We have been sent to ensure this never happens again. She paused, letting her words sink in. To all non-pirate vessels, you are ordered to exit the system immediately. To all pirate vessels, you have one opportunity to surrender. Power down your weapons, disable your engines, and prepare to be boarded. You will be taken into custody and transported to Earth to face trial. You have 5 minutes to comply. Vic stared at the display showing the human fleet. 43 pirate ships against what appeared to be 300 human warships. The numbers were incomprehensible. Where had they gotten such a fleet? How had they built it? Why had they sent so much force for revenge? They're bluffing, one captain suggested weakly. They can't all be warships. They're not bluffing. Marcus's voice cut through the pirate channel, though it should have been secured. Humans don't bluff about war. We're very, very good at war. We've spent our entire history perfecting it. You killed peaceful explorers, and now you get to meet the warriors. Admiral Okonkwo's voice returned. Your 5 minutes are up. I see you've chosen to resist. So be it, all ships weapons free. Execute Protocol Righteous Fury. What followed wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration. Human fighters, smaller and faster than anything the pirates had encountered, swarmed from carriers like angry insects. They moved in coordinated patterns that seemed telepathic in their precision. Pirate point defenses, designed to handle 1 or 2 attackers, were overwhelmed by dozens striking simultaneously. Human capital ships advanced with inexorable purpose, their weapons reaching out across distances that should have been impossible. The pirates returned fire, but their shots either missed entirely or splashed harmlessly against shields that seemed to absorb energy like sponges. Within 15 minutes, half the pirate fleet was disabled or destroyed. The rest tried to flee, but human ships blocked every escape route. They'd studied the system, planned their approach, and executed it with military precision that made Union tactics look amateurish. Captain Vix, watching his fleet die around him, finally understood. Humans weren't just another species exploring the galaxy. They were predators, apex predators, and they'd brought the full weight of their warrior culture to bear on those who dared attack their own. He opened a channel to Marcus's ship. How? He asked simply. How can one species be this dangerous? Marcus's face appeared on the screen, and Vic saw no triumph there, only sadness mixed with iron determination. Because we had to be, Captain. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every single day. Ice ages, predators, diseases, and eventually each other. We learned to fight or die. We learned to work together or perish. We learned that if you want peace, you prepare for war. You killed peaceful humans, scientists, explorers. But every peaceful human has warriors standing behind them, ready to ensure they can explore in safety. We surrender, Vic said, his spirit broken. We surrender. Too late for that, Marcus replied coldly. You had your chance. You laughed at my warning. Now you face the consequences. Admiral Okonkwo will decide your fate. The remaining pirate ships powered down one by one, surrounded by human vessels that could have destroyed them with casual ease. Marines in powered armor boarded each ship, securing the crews with brutal efficiency. These weren't the friendly explorers the pirates had ambushed. These were professional soldiers, and they treated the pirates exactly as enemy combatants deserved. Admiral Okonkwo's flagship pulled alongside Marcus's battered vessel. Over the following days, the Human Expeditionary Fleet systematically dismantled pirate infrastructure throughout the Kaltor expanse. Base after base fell to human assault forces. Captured pirates were documented, their crimes recorded, and transported to holding facilities. Those who resisted were met with overwhelming force. Captain Voresh arrived in the system on the 5th day, his patrol ship dwarfed by the human armada. He'd come to witness the aftermath and report to the Galactic Union. What he found astonished him. Human ships patrolled established routes, ensuring merchant vessels could travel safely. Engineers were constructing defense stations at strategic points. Diplomats were meeting with local species, offering trade agreements and protection treaties. In less than a week, humanity had brought order to a region that had been lawless for generations. Voresh met with Admiral Okonkwo aboard the Retribution. The dreadnought's interior was both beautiful and terrifying, decorated with art and historical displays that showed humanity's long history of warfare. Weapons from every era, from sharpened stones to plasma rifles, lined one corridor like a timeline of violence. "Admiral," Voresh said carefully, "the Galactic Union is grateful for your actions against the pirates. However, there are concerns about your fleet's size and capabilities. Some council members fear humanity might become a threat." Okonkwo smiled, but it wasn't a comforting expression. "Captain, humanity learned long ago that the best way to avoid war is to be too dangerous to attack. Yes, we have a powerful fleet. Yes, we have warriors and weapons. But we came here for one reason, to protect our people and ensure peaceful exploration can continue." She led him to an observation deck where they could see the fleet at work. "We're not leaving, Captain. Humanity is establishing a permanent presence in this region. We'll patrol, we'll protect trade routes, and we'll ensure that what happened to the Endeavor never happens again, not to humans, and not to any peaceful species." "The Union has protocols," Voresh protested weakly. "Territorial claims, military limits." "The Union had protocols about protecting explorers too," Okonkwo countered. "Those protocols failed. 37 humans died because the Union couldn't or wouldn't patrol this region. We're not asking permission, Captain. We're informing you of reality. Humanity is here and we're staying." Voresh recognized the tone. It wasn't negotiation. It was declaration. Humanity had arrived in galactic politics not as supplicants seeking acceptance, but as equals demanding respect. "What about Marcus Chen?" Voresh asked. "He broke numerous Union laws during his campaign." "Marcus Chen is a hero," Okonkwo stated flatly. "He kept his promise. He held this region until we arrived. He'll be returning to Earth for a commendation, not a court-martial." Marcus stood nearby listening to the exchange. He'd changed in the months since Voresh had rescued him from that life pod. The haunted look was still there, but now it was tempered with something else. Purpose fulfilled. "Captain Voresh," Marcus said quietly. "When you found me, I was one man seeking justice for my crew. Now I'm one man who's seen his species rise to meet a challenge. Earth sent 300 ships and thousands of warriors to avenge 37 scientists. That tells you everything about humanity. We remember. We honor our dead. And we protect our own." Voresh looked between Marcus and the Admiral, understanding dawning. "You are sending a message to the entire galaxy." "Exactly," Okonkwo confirmed. "Harm a human, and humanity responds. Not with words or protests, but with force. We're not the biggest species or the oldest or the most advanced, but we're the species that spent millions of years learning to hunt, fight, and survive. Those instincts don't vanish just because we built starships." As Voresh departed the Retribution to file his report, he carried with him the knowledge that the galaxy had changed. Humanity hadn't just arrived. They'd announced themselves with thunder and lightning, showing every species what happened when you pushed them. The pirates of the Kaltor Expanse had learned this lesson in blood and fire. Soon, the entire Galactic Union would understand. Humanity had come in peace, offering friendship and cooperation. But behind every peaceful human stood an army of warriors, ready to unleash legends of war that stretched back to Earth's ancient past. The galaxy had rescued one person. Now they understood what it meant when humanity returned with an army born of legends without limits. The news of humanity's intervention in the Kaltor Expanse spread through the Galactic Union like electricity through water, shocking and energizing in equal measure. Within weeks, every species knew about the pirates who'd destroyed a human research vessel, and the overwhelming response that followed. The images of 300 human warships dismantling a pirate stronghold played on information networks across 1,000 worlds. Reactions varied dramatically. Some species expressed admiration for humanity's loyalty to their own. Others voiced concern about this new military power that had appeared seemingly overnight. A few isolationist species sealed their borders entirely, wanting nothing to do with these aggressive newcomers. The Galactic Union Council convened an emergency session on the capital world of Sanctuary, Prime. Representatives from 147 member species gathered in the Grand Chamber, a massive dome where translation systems allowed everyone to speak and be understood simultaneously. The topic, what to do about humanity. Ambassador Chen Feng, Marcus's distant cousin and Earth's representative to the Union, stood at the speaker's podium. She was a small woman by human standards, barely 160 centimeters tall, but she carried herself with a confidence that filled the chamber. Behind her, holographic displays showed footage of the battle in the Vorath system. Esteemed council members, she began, her voice amplified and translated instantly. I understand many of you have concerns about Earth's response to the Endeavor incident. Some call it excessive, some say we violated Union protocols. I'm here to provide context and clarify humanity's position going forward. A Talarian counselor, his crystalline form glowing with agitation, interrupted. Context? You brought an armada to settle what should have been a law enforcement matter. You destroyed ships, killed pirates without trial, and established a permanent military presence without council approval. This is not how civilized species behave. Chen Feng let the criticism wash over her, her expression never changing. When she spoke again, her voice carried an edge that made several counselors shift uncomfortably. Civilized behavior. Let me tell you about civilized behavior, counselor. For 8 years, Earth has sent exploration vessels into Union space and beyond. We've shared our discoveries, our technology, our cultural knowledge. We've asked for nothing except the same respect we've offered others. In return, pirates operating openly in territories the Union claims to protect murdered 37 of our people. She advanced the holographic display, showing images of the Endeavor's crew, scientists, engineers, linguists, artists, young faces full of hope and curiosity. Several counselors looked away. These weren't soldiers. They weren't armed. They were explorers who believed the galaxy was safe for peaceful discovery. They were wrong, and they paid with their lives. So yes, humanity responded with overwhelming force. We responded because the Union, despite its promises of security and law, failed to protect them. The Kalter expanse is difficult to patrol, another counselor protested. Resources are limited. We cannot be everywhere. Then you should have been honest about that, Chen Feng replied sharply. If you'd told us certain regions were dangerous, we would have sent appropriate escorts. Instead, you assured us Union space was safe. You were either incompetent or dishonest. Either way, our people died because we trusted you. The chamber erupted in multilingual arguments. Some counselors agreed with the human ambassador. Others defended the Union's record. Still others demanded humanity be sanctioned for its aggressive response. Chen Feng waited for the noise to subside before continuing. Here's what Earth wants the Council to understand. We're not interested in conquest or domination. We're not here to challenge Union authority. But we will protect our people by whatever means necessary. If the Union cannot or will not provide security, we'll provide it ourselves. She gestured to another display showing human patrol routes in the Kaltor expanse. Our fleet isn't going anywhere. We've established bases, patrol schedules, and defense stations. Any ship, human or otherwise, can travel safely through that region now. Piracy is down 97% in the 3 months since our arrival. Trade has increased. Refugees are returning to rebuild. We've accomplished in months what the Union failed to do in decades. A Vorlish counselor, one of the species that had sent volunteers to Marcus's fleet, buzzed approval. The human ambassador speaks truth. My people have traded through the expanse for generations. We paid protection money to pirates, lost ships regularly, lived in fear. Now we trade freely. Humanity has given us something the Union promised but never delivered: actual security. This sets a dangerous precedent, the Talarian argued. If every species responds to crimes with military armadas, the Union will collapse into chaos. Chen Feng smiled coldly. With respect, counselor, humanity isn't every species. We're the species that evolved fighting for survival every day. We're the species that built civilization despite constant warfare. We're the species that learned the hard way that peace is maintained by strength, not hope. When you push us, we push back harder. When you kill our innocent, we eliminate the threat permanently. This isn't a threat. It's a simple statement of fact. She paused, letting her words sink in. Earth offers the Council a choice. Work with us. Let us patrol regions you can't. Let us contribute to Union security. We'll share our tactical knowledge, our technology, our experience with conflict resolution, or resist us, and watch as we operate independently, establishing humanity's own sphere of influence outside Union authority. Either way, we're staying. The Council debated for hours after Chen Feng's speech. Some species supported humanity's proposal. They'd seen the effectiveness of human military doctrine and wanted access to it. Others remained skeptical, fearing humanity's warrior culture would destabilize galactic politics. Finally, the Council reached a compromise. Humanity would be granted observer status in Union security councils, allowed to patrol specific regions, and permitted to maintain a limited military presence in former pirate territories. In exchange, Earth agreed to share military training techniques and coordinate with Union forces. It wasn't everything humanity wanted, but it was a start. More importantly, it established humanity as a force to be reckoned with in galactic politics. Meanwhile, Marcus Chen had returned to Earth as a hero. His face appeared on every news network. He'd kept his promise, held the Kalter expanse until help arrived, and survived to witness humanity's response. The government offered him medals, speaking tours, a position training future explorers in survival tactics. Marcus declined most of it. He attended memorial services for his crew, spoke at each funeral, ensured their families knew how bravely they'd died. Then he did something that surprised everyone. He returned to space. Admiral Okonkwo met him at the docking port of the newly established sanctuary station in the Kaltor expanse. The station orbited where the Endeavor had been destroyed, a permanent memorial to the crew and a symbol of humanity's commitment to protecting explorers. "I thought you'd stay on Earth," Okonkwo said as Marcus boarded the station. "You've earned rest, Marcus. You've earned peace." Marcus looked out at the stars through the station's massive viewports. "The Endeavor's mission was exploration, Admiral. My crew died trying to map jump points and study new phenomena. That work isn't finished. I'm not a warrior, not really. I'm a scientist who learned to fight because I had no choice. Now that the fighting's done, I want to get back to what I love." "Exploration," Okonkwo nodded understanding. "You want to finish what they started." "Yes," Marcus confirmed. "But this time I won't be alone. And I won't be unarmed," the Admiral smiled. "You'll be leading the new Deep Space Research Initiative. 6 ships, full military escort, the best scientists humanity can provide. Your mission: map the unexplored regions beyond the Kaltor expanse, make contact with new species, and show the galaxy what human exploration looks like when our explorers are properly protected." Marcus felt something he hadn't experienced since before the attack. Hope. Not the desperate hope that had driven his revenge campaign, but genuine optimism about the future. "When do we leave?" he asked. 2 weeks. Your crew is already assembling. Some are human, but we've also received applications from dozens of Union species. They want to explore with us, Marcus. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. You've inspired them." Over those 2 weeks, Marcus watched as his new ship took shape. The vessel was named Endeavor II, a direct tribute to his lost crew. It was larger than the original, better armed, and surrounded by escort ships that could handle any threat. But it was still primarily a research vessel, designed for discovery rather than war. Captain Voresh visited Marcus the day before launch. The Xinthian officer had been instrumental in convincing the Union Council to work with humanity, rather than against them. "I wanted to say goodbye," Voresh clicked, his mandibles moving in the gesture humans had learned meant affection among his species. "And to thank you." "Thank me?" Marcus was surprised. "For what?" "For showing me what determination looks like," Voresh replied. "When I found you in that life pod, I saw a broken survivor." "But you weren't broken. You were compressed like a spring waiting to release. You kept your promise against impossible odds." 5 years after the Endeavor incident, the galaxy looked remarkably different. Humanity had become a major player in galactic politics, respected and feared in equal measure. The Kalter expanse was now one of the safest regions in Union space, patrolled by joint human-alien security forces. Trade flourished where piracy had once reigned. Marcus Chen's Deep Space Research Initiative had made first contact with 17 new species, discovered 43 habitable worlds, and mapped previously unknown jump routes that cut travel times across entire sectors. His ship, the Endeavour II, had become famous throughout the galaxy as a symbol of peaceful exploration backed by uncompromising protection. But success brought new challenges. As humanity's influence grew, so did resistance from those who resented their rapid rise to prominence. Factions within the Galactic Union, species that had held power for millennia, began to push back against human expansion. They accused Earth of imperialism, of using military might to impose their will on the galaxy. The tension came to a head during a council session when Ambassador Chen Feng proposed expanding human patrol routes into the Outer Rim, a region plagued by slavers and raiders similar to the Kalter expanse before humanity's intervention. Absolutely not, declared Councillor Vex Thorin, a Krellian whose species controlled significant territory in that region. Humanity has overstepped repeatedly. You arrived 5 years ago and already you dictate security policy, establish military bases, and act as if you own space that isn't yours. Where does it end? Chen Feng stood calmly at her podium, unmoved by the councillor's anger. It ends when innocent beings can travel safely. It ends when slavers can't prey on refugees. It ends when the Union actually fulfills its mandate to protect all species, not just the powerful ones. You accuse us of failing our duty? Vex Thorin's scales flushed with rage. We've maintained peace for thousands of years before humans crawled out of their gravity well. Have you? Chen Feng's voice was quiet but cutting. Tell that to the millions enslaved in the Outer Rim. Tell that to the species driven to extinction by unchecked raiding. Tell that to my cousin and his crew who died because the Union's peace was a comfortable lie, told to the privileged while the vulnerable suffered. The chamber erupted in argument. Species aligned with humanity supported the ambassador's position. Those threatened by humanity's growing influence rallied behind Vex Thorin. The debate grew heated, accusations flying across the chamber. Admiral Okonkwo, now serving as humanity's military liaison to the Union, watched the proceedings from the observation gallery. Beside her sat Marcus, invited as an expert on exploration security. They'd become close friends over the years, bonded by their shared experiences. They're afraid, Marcus observed quietly, not of human military power, but of what we represent. Change, accountability, the end of their comfortable status quo. Okonkwo nodded. Every established power fears disruption. We've shown them that their way isn't the only way, maybe not even the best way, that threatens everything they've built their authority on. Will it come to conflict? Marcus asked, though he feared he knew the answer. I hope not, Okonkwo replied, but if it does, we'll handle it the way we always have. Overwhelming force, quick resolution, minimal casualties. We don't want war, but we're prepared for it. The council session ended without resolution, the vote postponed pending further negotiations. But something had shifted in galactic politics. Lines had been drawn. Species were choosing sides. Humanity and its allies on one side, the old guard clinging to traditional power structures on the other. 3 months later, the crisis arrived in a form nobody expected. The Krellian Dominion, backed by several allied species, launched a surprise attack on a human research station in the contested Outer Rim. They claimed it was retaliation for unauthorized human presence in their territory. In reality, it was a test. They wanted to see if humanity would actually fight a major Union power, or if the impressive fleet that had crushed pirates 5 years ago was all show. They got their answer within hours. Earth's response was immediate and overwhelming. Not just the expeditionary fleet stationed in Union space, but reinforcements from Earth itself. Humanity had spent 5 years building up its space navy, learning from Union technology while developing uniquely human tactical doctrines. What arrived at the Outer Rim made the fleet that liberated the Kaltor expanse look like a scouting party. But humanity also did something unexpected. They requested an emergency council session and broadcast it across the entire galaxy. Every species could watch as Ambassador Chen Feng addressed the assembled powers. 5 years ago, she began, humanity asked for one thing from this council: the safety to explore peacefully. We were told we'd have it. We were assured Union law protected all species. Then our explorers were murdered and we learned the truth. Union law protects those with power. Everyone else survives on luck and prayer. She gestured to displays showing the attack on the research station. 12 humans died in this unprovoked attack. Scientists studying pulsar radiation patterns. They threatened no one. They occupied a station in unclaimed space doing research that would benefit all species. The Krellian Dominion destroyed them to make a political statement. Vexithorin tried to interrupt, but Chen Feng's voice rose, cutting through his protests. You wanted to test us. You wanted to see if we'd fight back. Here's your answer. Yes, we will fight. We will fight to protect our people, our allies, and anyone too weak to protect themselves. But we don't want a war. We want justice. She turned to address the Council directly. The Galactic Union faces a choice. Continue as you are, with the powerful exploiting the weak while pretending laws and protocols matter. Or change. Actually enforce the laws you claim to uphold. Actually protect those who can't protect themselves. Actually become what you pretend to be. A union of species working together for everyone's benefit, not just the privileged few. Marcus watched the broadcast from the bridge of Endeavor this coup, his ship having been ordered to safe harbor when hostilities began. His crew, a mix of humans and aliens, watched their ambassador with expressions ranging from pride to anxiety. She's risking everything, Kess said, her blue skin pale with worry. She'd stayed with Marcus after the first campaign, becoming his second officer. If the Council sides with the Krellians, they won't, Marcus interrupted confidently. Watch, Chen Feng continued her speech. Humanity offers the Council a new arrangement. We will share our military capabilities with any species that wants them. We'll train your security forces in human tactics. We'll patrol regions you can't or won't protect. We'll ensure that Union law actually means something in the dark corners of space where you've allowed criminals to operate freely. In exchange, you accept humanity as a full Council member with voting rights. You grant us authority to enforce Union law in any region where local powers are unwilling or unable to do so. You admit that the old system has failed and allow us to help build something better. Or, her voice hardened, you side with the Krellians. You defend their right to attack peaceful researchers. You maintain the broken status quo. And humanity will remember that when we establish our own sphere of influence, our own alliance of species tired of Union corruption and incompetence. It was a masterful piece of diplomacy, wrapped in an iron ultimatum. Chen Feng had forced the Council into a public choice. Side with humanity and reform or side with aggressors and face the consequences. The vote took 3 days. Species argued, formed coalitions, made deals. But in the end, the result was clear. 109 species voted to accept humanity's proposal. 38 voted against. The Galactic Union would reform with humanity at the center of that transformation. The Krellian Dominion and its allies were given an ultimatum of their own. Accept Union arbitration for the attack on the research station, pay reparations and submit to new security protocols, or face expulsion from the Union and potential military action. They chose arbitration. The alternative was war with humanity and 109 allied species. Even the proud Krellians weren't that foolish. 6 months later, Marcus Chen stood at a podium on Sanctuary Prime, addressing a new class of Union Security Force trainees. The facility had been established jointly by humanity and dozens of other species, a place where military personnel could learn human tactical doctrines and apply them to their own species' capabilities. War isn't something to celebrate, Marcus told the diverse group of trainees representing 30 different species. I've seen too much death to glorify it. But peace isn't the absence of conflict. Peace is the presence of justice backed by the will to enforce it. He walked among the trainees, meeting their various eyes, sensors, and visual organs. You're here to learn how humans fight, but more importantly, you're here to learn why we fight. We fight because we remember the Endeavor. We fight because 12 researchers died studying pulsars. We fight because somewhere right now, there's an explorer hoping to discover something wonderful, and they deserve to pursue that dream without fear. The training class included a young Xinthian named Krelvesh, Captain Voresh's nephew, who had been inspired by his uncle's stories about the human he'd rescued. After the session, he approached Marcus with a question. Instructor Chen, humans seem to love peace but excel at war. How do you reconcile this contradiction? Marcus smiled at the familiar question. It's not a contradiction, Krelvesh. It's adaptation. We love peace because we know the cost of war. We excel at war because we've had to, again and again throughout our history. The goal isn't to be good at fighting. The goal is to be so good at fighting that nobody wants to fight you. Then you get peace. He looked up at the stars visible through the training center's transparent dome. Somewhere out there, my original crew is remembered. Their families know they didn't die for nothing. Their deaths changed the galaxy, made it safer for everyone who comes after. That's what we're fighting for. Not conquest, not glory, but the right for every species to explore, discover, and dream without fear. Years continued to pass. Humanity's influence grew, but so did cooperation with other species. Human military tactics were adopted and adapted across the Union. Joint security forces patrolled former danger zones. Piracy and slavery declined dramatically. Trade and exploration flourished. Marcus never stopped exploring. He made first contact with 43 new species during his career, each interaction handled with respect and curiosity. He became known throughout the galaxy as the human who remembers, a reminder of why humanity had come to the stars and what they were willing to do to protect that dream. On the 10th anniversary of the Endeavor incident, a memorial was unveiled on Earth. It featured the names of all 37 crew members, along with an inscription written by Marcus himself. They came in peace, seeking knowledge and understanding. They died in violence, victims of unchecked cruelty. Their sacrifice changed everything. Now no explorer travels alone. No researcher faces danger without protection. No dream is abandoned because of fear. They would have wanted it this way. They would be proud of what we've become. Standing at the memorial, surrounded by representatives from over 100 species, Marcus reflected on the journey from that life pod to this moment. One person rescued had indeed brought an army. But more than that, one tragedy had transformed the galaxy. Humanity had arrived as explorers and been baptized in fire. They'd responded not with retreat, but with overwhelming force and unwavering determination. They'd shown the galaxy that peaceful intentions required powerful backing, that justice demanded strength, and that those who preyed on the innocent would face consequences beyond their worst nightmares. Admiral Okonkwo stood beside Marcus at the ceremony, both of them older now but no less committed to the principles they'd fought for. "Do you think we've done enough?" Marcus asked quietly. Okonkwo considered the question seriously. "We've done what needed to be done. We've built a foundation. Now others can build on it. The Endeavor's legacy isn't just military might. It's the idea that every species deserves protection, that peace requires vigilance, and that humanity keeps its promises." Marcus nodded, satisfied. The Endeavor 2 was being refitted for another deep space mission, farther than humans had ever traveled. New wonders awaited discovery. New species needed to be contacted. The work of exploration never ended. But now every explorer who ventured into the unknown carried with them the knowledge that if danger found them, humanity would respond. The galaxy had learned its lesson well. You could hurt one human and face one human's wrath, but threaten humanity's dreams, kill their innocent, challenge their right to explore and discover, and you faced something that legends were made of. An army without limits. Warriors who fought for peace. Protectors who'd proven their strength by crushing those who threatened the defenseless. The galaxy had rescued one person. Humanity had returned with the full weight of human determination, adaptability, and warrior spirit forged over millions of years of survival. They'd returned with an army born of legends, and those legends would echo through the stars for generations to come.